Hey folks, Mr. VanScoyoc here. I'm going to show you guys how to do your chart for the Great Lakes. So looking at the temperature data for Great Lakes. So I'm assuming for my virtual folks, doesn't matter what lake you pick, and then you can either pick July or January. So make sure that you do your hypothesis before moving ahead though. All right, so I've got my directions here. And then I went ahead and opened up the Lake Superior spreadsheet. And my instructions say to open up my sheet and then add a label to column 1, row 1. So right here is column 1, row 1. And if you look down, this is July, and then this is 1 through 31. So those are the days. So July dates or days. And the other thing it asks us to do is, or that I'm asking you to do, add units to the header row of your data. And so we can just Control C, copy. And the important thing here is don't type it right here if there's already text there. If I want to edit it, so I go up here to this formula bar, space, Control V. So now when you look at this data, again, select that cell, go up here to the formula bar, space, Control V. Now when you look at that data, it's obvious that this is temperature. And you should know that it's temperature from our assignment, but it's unclear if it's degrees Fahrenheit or degrees Celsius. You could probably figure that out, but you don't want somebody reading or looking at your data to have to guess. And so that's why I told you guys it was degrees Celsius. Next part is in the row after your data, which should be B33, we're going to type in this formula, equals average, left parentheses B2, colon, B32, right parentheses. So if I go down here and type in the equal sign, and then the word average, AVERAGE, and do left parentheses. And I have a mouse, so I can, actually it's pretty easy to select my range. So I clicked on B1 and keep pushing that down there. And I'm going to go to B32. Now I let off my mouse and then do a right parentheses. So left is shift 9 and then right parentheses shift 0. Hit enter. And so what I just did there is I calculated the average of all of these days. So if I'm asking you to compare the temperatures from these two cities, you might be able to figure it out just by looking at it, but doing an average is really going to make it less of a guessing game, and just we can look at it by the numbers. So let's make sure we label that equals, so not equals, we're going to label average. And so now we know that this is the average for the city in Ontario. The nice thing about doing the formulas too is you're not punching these into a calculator, into a computer, and adding them all up manually. Now that I have that formula, I can do a Control C, go up here to copy, and I can click on the C33, which is right next to it, and do a Control V, or for my visual learners, paste. And so now I can see mathematically what the average is for these two cities. So then the question, one of the questions is, asking about inland cities, inland versus coastal cities. And if you go ahead and do a Google search on, just go to Google Maps and search for this city. I'm going to assume that you know how to do a search for a city on Google Maps. We find out that this is a coastal city along the Lake Superior coast. You find out that this is an inland city. Oops. So you're not required to write those two things down there, but that will be helpful later on. All right, next video, I'll show you how to make a spreadsheet, or I'm sorry, make a chart in your spreadsheet.